Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So this is just an absolute cluster of a target. But we are going to go over the good, the bad, the ugly, and the just absolute disastrous performance that we had with our Winchester XPR chambered in 350 Legend. So throughout the course of the week, I just kind of loaded up a few rounds here or there on some 350 Legend stuff. I had a few things I wanted to try. I finally loaded up some cast bullets that my buddy CW sent me, CW Longshot. So if you don't follow his channel, definitely go do that, especially if you're interested in casting your own bullets. He does a phenomenal job. The stuff he sends out, it's great. It's really nice, high quality stuff. So he had seen some of my 350 Legend videos and 357 Magnum videos, and he's like, "Hey, huge fan of 35 caliber stuff, especially cast. I've got some I'll send you. You can try them out." And so he sent me some various weights, various grain weight bullets to try for 350 Legend and also 357 Magnum. So I loaded up a few, and now I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to loading casts, so I have no clue, and I just made up this load data. So if you guys out there are watching this and you're a lot smarter than me and you've gone down this road and you have much better load data, then by all means please share it. But I'm really interested in trying. He sent me a decent amount of each grain weight, so I'm gonna explore quite a bit with all of them. I believe it was 4 or 5 different grain weights that he sent. But I'll just quickly go over kind of what I loaded up. He sent me some 220 grain hollow point, some 200 grain hollow point. It's a penta shaped hollow point, and then 197 grain round nose hollow point. So let's see. Those were the three, so those were the 3 cast bullets that I loaded up. Also on this trip, on this range trip, I loaded up some Hornady 165 grain FTX using H110 and Alliant Power Pro 300 MP. I used 300 MP for all of the cast stuff. Okay, so just keep that in the back of your mind. And I also loaded up some of these guys, some of these Hammer 125 grain. They say 125 grain. I weighed I had whatever 41 left. I loaded up three shot groups. I had 41 left. I weighed all 41, and they were between 124.2 and 124.6. So 4/10 of a grain variation in their weight, and none of them weighed 125. They were all just under 125. But pretty sweet looking round. I mean, that's a mean looking round, and you would think you get some good velocity going with this guy. So I was using, I copied some load data. Let's see, right here. Shock hammer, the 125 grain shock hammer. That's what I was loading up. Hodgdon has load data for 125 grain Barnes bullet, so I just copied that. And I was using H110 with this guy. So I did 25, 25.5, and 26. And I didn't get velocity data on any of this stuff. Really, all I was trying to do was see, okay, cast a wide net. We're using a couple of different powders. On the cast stuff, I have no clue what I'm doing, and I want to keep it light. Possibly, I don't know if 21 and 22 grains of 300 MP is considered light. I have no idea. But I wanted to go that route and just see how they would shoot, how they would group, see if anything just kind of jumped out at me like, hey, something shot really spectacular in this limited sample size. And if it did, then we were going to pursue that. So this was the target that we ended up with. So also I was I wasn't necessarily pressed for time, but this is in the same range trip where I was breaking in the barrel on my Howa 1500 chambered in 308. So that's what I was doing, because I had to wait 5 minutes in between each shot on my 308 and clean the barrel each time. So I would jump over and shoot a group with 350 Legend. Well, I didn't want to go down and have to put up a new target and all that. So I was trying my best to throw some dots on there to try to give me, you know, point of aim. And it just, point of impact was all over the place with the different stuff that I was shooting. You know, I was shooting the 165s, the Hornady stuff, down to the 125s, and then the cast stuff, the heavy cast stuff. So I had no idea where anything was going. I was just hoping and praying, hey, I could get it close to a dot and get it on target, and that way I could see it. Now, with the H110 loads for the Hornady 165s, these, unfortunately, this top left did not get on target. That was my point of aim, and so I was high with that. But that one, I did go down and measure it. I just left everything on the target and actually measured it on the target. That was all these measurements are outside the outside edge. Okay, so you have to keep in mind that you still need to subtract bullet diameter to get a center to center. Okay, for everyone that's keeping score at home. So that was like a 1.42 inch group there with 26 grains of H110. Then down here, 26.5. That one was actually slightly larger at 1.684. And then our 27 grain charge, that was a 1.8 inch group. Okay, almost 2 inches there. So H110 didn't really, you know, nothing spectacular when it came to H110. Now, when I switched over to Power Pro 300 MP, I did 27, 27.5, and 28 grains. And look at that 27 grain charge. That might be a winner chicken dinner for a hunting load. We've got to verify that bad boy, but it came in at 1.134 inches. So obviously you subtract the bullet diameter, you know, you're down at a 0.8, right? 0.8 inch group. So really, really good. 3 shots and I wanted to do 3 shots and all this stuff just to see if it would even group halfway decent, if it was going to be worth my time going back and investigating more. So that's why I did 3-shot groups with all this stuff. And then the 27.5 didn't do too bad. I had a couple touching right there, and then one down a little bit lower. That was 1.659. So opened up a little bit, and then 28 just, I mean, it got ugly at 28. So I don't know if that was just, I don't know what the deal was there, but it opened up big time. And that's 3.33 inch group. So kind of odd that it opened up that high, but 28, I think the max in the manual is actually like 27.9, according to the Hornady manual. I believe it's 27.9. So we're right there at max, just a 1/10 of a grain over. So I don't know if it just didn't like that or what, but we're definitely going back and loading up some more. This is the first I've loaded with this 165 grain bullet. So we're going to be going back and looking around that 27 grain range for sure. Now on to the cast stuff. The cast, I had no idea what to expect shooting cast bullets. This is the first time I've ever done it. So I started off with the 220 grain hollow points. So that was my first group there. That was my point of aim, so it was hitting to the right. But yeah, it ended up being 2.2 inches, so not bad at all in my opinion. Second one opened up quite a bit. It was 3.316. And then the last one, where's it at? Right there. Kind of tightened back up, 1.850. Now that's 21 grains, 21.5, and 22 grains of 300 MP. I have no idea if that's good, bad, or otherwise, right? So I'm gonna kind of rely on you guys. I need some help on that one. If you guys shoot this cast stuff, 220 grain bullet, what are you running with 300 MP? What charge weights kind of help a brother out? So I'm asking for help on this one. And then I only loaded up 3 rounds of the 197 grain. Just wanted to see how it would shoot. That's a 3.732. Again, with 22 grains of 300 MP. And then Oh, and then the three, I only loaded up 3 rounds of the 200 grain Penta hollow points. Those hollow points with the Penta shape. That's those 3 shots there. This is some 308 stuff. So that's those 3 shots there. Those came in at 2.275. So under 2 inches, when, you know, once you subtract bullet diameter, you're under 2 inches there. So something to work on for sure, I think, or at least in my opinion. I want to explore this a whole lot more because it's real new to me. I've never loaded and shot cast bullets, so I think it's awesome. You know, I wasn't expecting to punch them through the same hole. This was kind of in the ballpark of my expectations with, again, never having done it, not knowing what I was getting myself into. I'm really pleased, especially like with the 220 stuff. I mean, if we can keep that, I mean, like, if I can find a decent load with all this stuff, I'd like to hit the woods with it. See what we can do with, you know, to a deer, to a hog, something like that. So that's that stuff now. So the 165s, those were like the really good. That was like the great, right? That was the great group of the day, right? They get the award for the great group of the day. That's why I circled so many times. The cast stuff was the good stuff, right? Now we're going to get down to just the absolute disastrous stuff. These guys right here, I mean, didn't shoot worth a flip. Holy smokes. I couldn't believe it. It was, I don't know what the deal is. Maybe you 350 Legend folks that are out there that are way smarter than me when it comes to this. Maybe y'all can help me out again, asking for help on this. But so here's what I loaded up: 25, 25.5, and 26 grains of H110 with these guys. There's my overall length, all that, right? That ended up being my overall length. That was my target. That ended up being my overall length that I went with, that I settled on. And I didn't shoot the last group. I didn't shoot 26 grains. It was that bad. Like, it was just that bad. So these two right next to each other, here's how this broke down, all right? This was the first shot of my first group, 25 grains. You know, I was, I believe, yeah, my point of aim was right there, okay? Point of aim there. And so I was like, oh man, I guess I'm just low, you know? And this was after shooting some other stuff. I was like, man, you know, other stuff's just shooting kind of to the right or whatever. And I was like, okay, I'm just really low, right? Point of aim, point of impact, really low. Well, holy smokes, my next two, no joke, were like up here, you know, 1.5 feet away from where that one was. And they were about 3 inches apart from each other after I fired the next 2 shots. And I was like, uh-oh, something ain't good here. So I was like, all right, let me shoot the next group just to see. I don't know, maybe we throw a little more velocity at them. Maybe they'll group. I have no idea. I'd never seen that. And so the first shot on the next one went right here. And then the next 2 shots, I mean, were like 8 inches over to the left of the target. I mean, like over here on the target, I had a piece of cardboard. This was sitting on a cardboard target. And so the other two, I mean, again, probably 2-3 inches apart from each other, but they're about 8 inches over here away from this. So I was like, you know what, forget it. Not shooting anymore. I'm not even wasting these 3 shots. Not going to do it. So I don't know what's going on with this. If anybody else has any experience with these, you know, I don't want to say, oh man, they're just terrible and they're god awful. They just, for whatever reason, didn't shoot well for me in this particular application. Using this powder in my rifle, they didn't shoot worth a flip. I'd kind of like to know why, and I don't know why. So again, kind of asking for help on this one. So any 350 Legend experience folks out there that can help me out in the world of cast bullets, what are you shooting with 300 MP? I kind of like to stick with that powder, or if you have another powder recommendation. H110 is my go-to 357 Magnum powder, so I'll probably just use that for that. But you know, any recommendations are welcome. And then also, I don't even know where to begin on this. So any help here would be greatly appreciated as well. So, but that's where we're going to leave it. That's 350 Legend update. I'm actually about to pull the scope, put it on another rifle so I can get this other rifle broken in and ready to go. But yeah, I mean, we've got some good options. I've got, you know, known good loads, and for 170 grain bullet that we killed a deer with last year. Y'all saw the Winchester 180 grain factory ammo, how well it shot out of this rifle. And then now we've got a 165 grain load that we're going to explore more that's looking pretty good as well. So, I mean, we've got 3 different grain weight bullets, 3 different decent loads possibly, you know, that we can lean on. So it's not like we're hurting or, you know, for a load, or actually, you know, are in a bind. But deer season's rolling in hot and heavy. It'll be here before we know it. So I just kind of like to nail down some of this stuff. I'd like to nail down a cast load as well. I think that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, so just asking for help. I really appreciate it if you guys could help me out, hook me up with some information, and then we'll go from there. Make sure, you know, if you guys are interested in these targets, you know, I picked them up from my buddy Robert over at Midway Pistol out in Gurley, Midway Pistol and Pawn. And then all this 350 Legend reloading stuff, minus these hammer bullets, everything I've gotten so far has all come from Mr. Big Guns in Huntsville. They're getting in more and more powder, you know, every other day it seems like. Components, you name it, anything you need, definitely run down there, check out what those guys have to offer. So, but we will catch y'all next time. Y'all have a good one.